Hi, so guys, today we're going to move on into a grade 2, module 4, lesson 12 and 13 lesson, subtracting with the standard algorithm and using unbundling and place value chips. Okay, so our focus will be that magnifying glass piece. So let's practice one together. Say this equation with me, 31 minus 18. Okay, so what is our whole? 31. What is our part that we know? 18. So what are we looking for? We're looking for the missing part. Very good. Okay, so when we subtract, sometimes we use our dots or our chips to solve subtraction problems. We only put the whole on our chart. So we said our whole is 31. So I am going to actually draw 31. How many 10s do I have? 3. So I'm going to draw 3 10s. And how many 1s? 1. And 1, 1. Okay, so we want to look closely at our whole like detectives to make sure that we know whether we need to unbundle or not. So I'm going to be like a detective and draw a magnifying glass because detectives sometimes have to find clues, and so we draw they use magnifying glasses to kind of find those clues that are really, really small to make sure we look closely at them. So let's start by looking at our smallest place value first. Our smallest place value is the 1s. So can we take 8 1s from 1 1? No, we cannot. Okay, so I am going to actually have to figure out what I need to do. So what do I need to do? I need to decompose a 10. So I'm going to go into my model and I am going to actually decompose a 10. So I'm going to cross out this 10 and I'm going to decompose it into 10 1s, and I'm going to draw it the 5 group way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay, so how many 10s do I have now? 2 10s. Okay. So how many 1s do I have now? 11 1s. Whatever I do to my chip model, I want to make sure that I do to my vertical method. So we said that I had 2 10s. So I need to make sure I have my 2 10s here. And I had 11 1s because I unbundled one of those 10s. Okay? So now we have our 2 10s and 11 1s. So now I can go into my place value, my 1s column, to see if I can subtract. 11 1s minus 8 1s is how many 1s? 3. So let's check it and see. We're going to take away 8 1s from here. This is 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay? And now I'm going to go to my 10s place, and I'm going to subtract how many 10s? 1 10. So I'm going to subtract my 1 10. How many 1s do I have in my 1s place? 3. So I'm going to write it. And how many 10s do I have left? I have 1. So what is the answer? The answer is 13. So guys, we made sure that we were detectives and we wanted to look closely to see if we needed to unbundle, and we realized we could not unbundle because we only had 1 1. So we went to our 10s place, we unbundled a 10 and brought it over, and we realized that was 11 1s. We looked very closely with that magnifying glass to make sure that we unbundled if we needed to unbundle. We made sure we put our magnifying glass around our hole. So, to step myself out, the whole purpose for this is that we want the kids to put a magnifying glass around that whole number, and there's some reasons why. It kind of reminds the students how to set up the problem for subtraction. It also reminds them that the minuend is the whole from which they are taking apart from. So they're looking for the other part, the missing part. It also is a short circuit. It short circuits the habit of seeing numbers as columns of isolated, unrelated digits. So they don't see it as this is a column, this is a column. They kind of see this as the whole thing, and I'm taking apart from it. And then it prevents the common error of switching the top number for the bottom number. So many times we see students wanting to just make this 8 minus 1 just because it's the easier way, but not really understanding the part-whole relationship or the unbundling relationship reasoning behind why we can't take 8 ones from 1 1. Okay? And then it also prevents the other common error of forgetting a change of the digits when regrouping has occurred. So it kind of prevents that error of, oh, I unbundle, but then forgetting to take up the 10 and moving it over. Or it also shows the connection with the place value chart and the vertical method of what I did here matches this. I had 2 10s, I took 1 10 away. This magnifying glass piece is very critical in lower grades. It helps them to hone in on that whole, and knowing that I have a whole, I'm taking apart, I'm looking for the missing part, and it kind of relates back to that number bond that they learned earlier in the school year and in previous grades. So we're going to practice a few together, and then we'll come back together and we'll just talk about your process and how this magnifying glass piece may help you in your classrooms. Thanks.